A view of San Diego through a Japanese guidebook. I'm Chris, this is Yellow Productions. I do travel guides that are fun, informative, entertaining. This is a live stream, and so if you are on the live stream, feel free to ask questions. This is designed to be interactive, and today we're going to be going through this guidebook. But before I talk about this guidebook, I want to share with you guidebooks in general. So when I go on travel, I think it's important to get guidebooks. I always pick up tons of guidebooks wherever I go. Of course, I love the Lonely Planet series. Some of my favorite are the Rick Steves guides, and in addition to the Rick Steves guides, I also really like Japanese guidebooks. What's so great about Japanese guidebooks? Well, they are really detailed. And so in this video, I'll be going through this one on San Diego. If we've got more time, we'll look at this one on Kyushu. This Kyushu guidebook that I've got here, it is a Japanese book that's been translated to English. This one right here, this guidebook, it's called Pocket San Diego, and I picked this up at the San Diego Rental Car Center when I was waiting for my rental car. I think Japanese guidebooks, I mentioned, they are detailed and they are really the best. Wherever I go, whether it's San Diego or Hawaii or things like that, if I see Japanese guidebooks, I pick one up. And actually, Hendrik M. just joined in from Maui, and so Hendrik, you'll know there's tons of Japanese guidebooks on Maui, free pamphlets you can pick up. And so this book is actually really interesting because it's free, and you'll notice how thick it is. I mean, you know, if you pick up a typical pamphlet for free from someplace, how many pages are they? Like 2, 3, 5? This one is 368 pages. That is impressive for a free book. And so you might say, well, Chris, why are there Japanese guidebooks on San Diego? Why do they distribute this for free? Well, San Diego recently got a direct flight on Japan Airlines from San Diego to Tokyo, and so they actually distribute this on that flight in the San Diego Tourism Center in Tokyo. They distribute this at a lot of the Japanese markets in San Diego, so San Diego is really trying to get to the Japanese tourism market. And just the final thing I want to say before I go into this is that I'm not picking on the Japanese. Sometimes people take the wrong impression from things. I actually really love these guidebooks, and that's why we're going to take a look at it. Every tour guide or travel book should look like this. And again, this one's free. In order to do this well, I've got this new nifty camera, and so if you see this USB cable here, that's because it's for the down camera. So I'm going to turn on the down camera that we can take a look at and see right there. And then we can put me in the corner right here. Hey, look at that. And then to make this work, I have to turn off the overhead lighting, which I've just got over here, and now we should remove some of that nasty glare that was on that book. All right, so if I was teaching a class, I would ask if everybody can see this book that I've got here, and so I hope you can. By the way, I've also got right down here, I've got some of our friends. I got Topher, and I've got his new brother right here. They're joining us. They can't quite sit up completely straight, but we'll bring them back in. They're tired. We'll bring them back in a little later. All right, so the first thing we see on this cover is a cute character. I love everything Japanese has cute characters, and so I just love the cute character right here. There's a seagull, because San Diego is by the sea, and then this is the Hotel del Coronado. The Hotel del Coronado, it's the most famous hotel in San Diego. It is the largest wooden hotel on the West Coast. And so thank you, Brandon, for saying nice camera. And DL says, yes, we can see very clearly. And OC Girl says she sees 2 pandas on the floor. Yes, there's 2 pandas on the floor right there. All right, but you need to be in the camera a little bit more. All right, guys, there we go. And so does this too. All right, that's a good look. Okay, so let's open this up. And I mentioned this is in Japanese. So the first thing we see is an advertisement for SeaWorld, because San Diego is home to SeaWorld. Obviously, the whole Shamu thing has kind of you know, they're kind of downplaying that a little bit. But the Japanese love amusement parks. They love SeaWorld. They love Disneyland if they come to Anaheim. I love Disneyland when I go to Japan. And then there's an advertisement here for Seaport Village. Seaport Village is this really neat shopping center just right along San Diego's bay. But let's go in. There's a table of contents, of course. How many free brochures do you get tables of contents? And then there's this like cute little character here that gives you some little tips. And there's a panda. We'll see more pandas later. Let's see, they've got more pictures and more things about like, hey, if you want to take day trips, we'll go through those a little bit. And so I'm also showing this to you to say, well, if I'm recommending you pick up Japanese pamphlets when you're places, you'll be like, but Chris, I can't read Japanese. And I'll say, that's okay, I can't read Japanese either, but I can look at pictures and look at the English, and you can actually get a lot out of a Japanese guidebook in English. These are advertisements. San Diego has Broadway plays. That's in English. They didn't translate it. And there's an advertisement for that Hotel Del that we saw on the main page. Balboa Park, I've got a 360-degree video on that. That's one of San Diego's big attractions. But in Balboa Park, there's also this Japanese friendship garden. I think it might be kind of funny that Japanese would come to San Diego and visit a Japanese garden, because I guarantee the one in San Diego is not nearly as good as the one in Japan. Japanese love golf. They come to San Diego a lot to play golf, so of course there is an advertisement for golf. So now we start getting into the real travel guide part about it, and this is what I like. So there's the San Diego Popular Gourmets. You know, this is the first content. It is about food. Japanese love to eat, and they love their food. So what are the must-eats when you come to San Diego? Well, of course, they are margaritas, right? Mexican drinks. San Diego is right next to the border. There's tacos. And there's California burritos. What's a California burrito? California burrito, it's a burrito that has French fries, carne asada. Those are typically the two items that are in it, and sometimes sour cream, cheese, pico de gallo, guacamole. But the base two things that are in every California burrito are French fries and carne asada. San Diego has a lot of this live sea urchin. Actually, the sea urchin that's in Santa Barbara is some of the most famous sea urchin around the world. They serve it on Japan Airlines, and you can get a lot of this live sea urchin places. Snow crabs and oysters. Hash House, this is a breakfast place. The Japanese, they're really into like Western breakfasts, including pancakes. If you go to Japan, there will be a lot of pancake restaurants. But the funny thing about pancake restaurants in Japan is that they don't open for breakfast. The Japanese don't really eat breakfast at breakfast time. They eat breakfast much more as like a lunchtime or a dessert type thing. And then, yes, Brandon Torres says, yes, the famous In-N-Out Burger is, of course, right there. One of my favorite places to eat at. Kirk says, who else is bombarded by San Diego tourism ads on YouTube? They're getting super repetitive. I haven't seen them, Kirk, but that is interesting. So I guess I haven't been bombarded by them because I haven't seen them. Devin says, what about Sweden? Like, what about me in Sweden? I've been to Sweden. Sweden's pretty cool. SoCal Seth is online, says he says aloha and sent me the Ko'olina video. Thank you, Seth. I saw that you sent it to me. I didn't get a chance to check it out because I was preparing for this stream today. Tanner Wilson says fries in a taco or burrito, that wouldn't fly in Texas. Yeah, it's definitely not Tex-Mex. It's definitely California Mexican food. All right, so let's go ahead and go on to the next page of this right here. So this is more food to eat in San Diego. There's mango tarts, which, boy, that looks pretty delicious, that mango tart right there. Dim sum. San Diego has a pretty vibrant Chinese community, and there's a lot of places that serve dim sum. These fresh fruit strudels. There's this famous bakery in San Diego called Hans and Harry's Bakery that makes these really big strudels. San Diego has a huge craft beer scene. This is kind of funny. Sushi rolls. So for those of you who are sushi snobs, you'll know that these right here, you'll never see this in Japan. You would never see sushi with cream cheese in it. That is not Japanese sushi. And by the way, they don't roll them like this either. So this is totally an American thing. So they're like, hey, when you come to San Diego, you should get some American sushi rolls. And there's this famous place, this barbecue place in San Diego called Phil's Barbecue. It is one of the top 10 most reviewed restaurants on Yelp. So a lot of people really love Phil's Barbecue. I'll say I don't, because I don't like to wait in line for 2 hours. But I guess if you're a tourist, it's a must come, because you look and you see there's over 10,000 reviews and you're like, I have to do that. Let's see. OC Girl responds about the burrito and says the California burrito is really a San Diego thing. Can't find it in Orange County even, right? And Orange County is just about 80 miles north of San Diego. And that's right, there's very few California burritos there. So you definitely have to have California burritos if you come to San Diego. We go on this, and of course there's an advertisement for some tour company. Japanese really like organized tours. And then here there's an advertisement for inside Neiman Marcus, this little confectionery place, and a photography company that could take photos of tourists as they're here. We all know that Japanese love photos, and I think their perspective is if they went on vacation and they didn't get a photo of something, it basically didn't happen. Chris Jaggs asks, where is Topher? Topher is right there. And his new brother, Columbus, is right... Oh, this is hard. Columbus is right there. Oh, Columbus! I just mentioned that. Okay, let's go ahead. Let me say that now. I'm going to go off that book for a moment. And I'm going to say, for those of you who watched the last live stream, you'll know we introduced Topher's brother, who was sent to us by some fantastic fans. And I asked you all for inputs on name suggestions. And we decided to go with Columbus for his name. Why is it Columbus? Well, I'm Chris, he's Topher, and this is Columbus. And together we make Christopher Columbus, a set of noble explorers, of course. So that is Columbus. And he is going to go back down there. And now I've got me big and me small, huh? All right, we'll go back to that camera, which is where Columbus and Topher are going to go. Oh, you're not in that picture well. Okay, now they're in that picture well. You know, I'm doing this live stream to both Facebook and YouTube, and I'm trying to figure out, like, how do I actually see the comments on Facebook? Facebook's live streaming setup is, like, really kind of lame, and there's no way in the interface to actually see the live setup. So let me see if I can open my phone to see my own live setup so that I can watch the live video. That I better turn off the volume so that I can actually read people's comments. And all right. Alex Joshi is on Facebook, and he's rocking his new Yellow Productions t-shirt. He won a Yellow Productions t-shirt on one of the previous live streams. Awesome. Alex, Jess, and Sylvester are online. So thanks. I can see your comments now. I'm not trying to ignore any of you. I'm just fighting with Facebook live streaming. All right, let's go on in this book. So what do we have next in this section? Well, I talked about photos, and in this section, it is the great places to take photos in San Diego. As I said, if you're Japanese and you travel someplace and you didn't take photos, well, basically it didn't ever happen. And so they're showing you the classic places to take photos. This right here, this statue, it's famous. It's called the Unconditional Surrender Statue. It's right by the aircraft carrier, the USS Midway. It's a statue recreation of that famous sailor kissing the nurse in New York City. Things in Coronado, things in the Gas Lamp District, things in Balboa Park. There's this interesting one. Let me see if I lift this up, if it keeps its focus. This potato chip rock. There's this rock that kind of like looks like a potato chip. There's this park called Chicano Park. Everybody has to come to San Diego and get a shot of the pier. There's a whole bunch of piers. There's this place called the Children's Pool where all these seals hang out, some sea caves. and this thing called Mount Soledad. Mount Soledad's interesting. It's this mountain in San Diego, and there have been like all these legal battles about it because there's a cross on top of it. It's public land, but there's a cross on top of it, and so there's like the atheists who say, well, you can't have a cross on public land, so then the city sold it for $1, but then they're like, oh, you didn't sell it competitively. Anyway, it remains a war memorial, and so that's why that's there. There's also this house here called the Mushroom House. It's at the bottom of Black's Beach. It's this house because it looks like a mushroom. It's a little bit of a hike to get there. Let's see. Devin Duncan says, which should I go to? Should I go to San Diego or Los Angeles? Devin, they're right near each other. I think you should go to both. DL says, what about a tour bus from Vegas to San Diego? Wow, that would be a long bus ride, I would have to say. I would rather fly than sit in a bus for that long. But there are a lot of tour guides that do that, particularly Chinese tours do that a lot. Soul Z joined in and says, my first time watching your live stream, love your channel. Thanks for joining in, Soul Z, I appreciate it. Let's see. I'll go back to now the second page here. So these are more pictures, more great picture places to take in San Diego, more beaches, things like that. What do we got here? Oh, of course, we have wedding photos because Japanese love to travel to get married. They really like the concept of Western weddings. It's really popular for Japanese to visit Hawaii to get married, particularly where SoCal Seth is in Koalina. There's a whole bunch of wedding chapels there. So they can get married. You see those pictures. And we've got some more, I think, picture places and some, a hotel that, of course, interestingly enough, they advertise the prices in yen. In yen. You can see right there. Okay. Now, okay. This is like a Japanese tour book page right here. They love things to be so information dense. And if you've never seen my videos on San Diego Comic-Con, you are missing out. The biggest event to come to San Diego every year is San Diego Comic-Con. And so they talk about San Diego Comic-Con, people dress up in cosplay, but do you notice how dense this page is? Yeah, when we get to that Kyushu travel book I showed you earlier, you'll see how dense everything is in there and in English. Next page here, we've got information about Top Gun. The original Top Gun movie was filmed in San Diego, and so they show you all the different locations that you can go to that were in the Top Gun movie, and they show you not just the location, but they also show you what that location looked like in the actual frame in the movie. This right here, super famous place in San Diego. It's the Point Loma Lighthouse. It was Viper's house, and you can see when they shot it in the movie, they took off the top of it so you don't know it's a lighthouse, but in fact it is a lighthouse. Really great views of San Diego from the lighthouse. So in the comments, there was a question about if I've ever lost Topher before. And OC Girl says, I almost did lose Topher when we were in Macau. I was putting him in my bag, and somehow when I put him in, he didn't get in my bag, and he fell on the floor, and we walked about 20 feet, and then luckily I turned around like, where's Topher? And I can tell if he's in my bag or not, because obviously he's like a big thing, right? So luckily I didn't actually lose him. Drew Lawson says, do you sell t-shirts for dogs? My dogs Jack and Lucy are asking. That's a great question, Drew. To this point, I haven't really been selling the t-shirts. I've mostly been doing them as giveaways on the live stream. There's some that I did through some YouTube connection that have like Topher t-shirts that might show up on the bottom of some videos, but I have not gotten into selling dog t-shirts. That's a great question, though. The Gabriel channel joined in. Welcome, Gabriel channel. DL says he loves Comic-Con. Dallas Cook says, hello from Canada. Hello, Dallas. Alonzo says, what's the best time to buy tickets for Comic-Con? They only sell them once a year. It's like a raffle lottery you have to get into. So if you want to do that, you better like sign up now. Otherwise, you won't get in for that. Chris Jags is also from Canada. Brandon says, I was there in San Diego during Comic-Con week in 2018. Brandon, did you dress up for Comic-Con week? And Kwong joined in from Hong Kong. All right, so let's go back to the book. And what have we got here? All right, we've got more Top Gun attractions. And there's a restaurant in downtown San Diego called Kansas City Barbecue. I'm convinced this place only exists because it's in the Top Gun movie. I don't think the barbecue's that great, but people go there because it's in the movie, and it looks just like it did in the movie. They've got like Top Gun memorabilia. All right, what do we got here? We've got spas. We've got a ballet. Might want to enjoy some ballet when you're in San Diego. This is a whole About San Diego page. Things like language, where it is in the United States. It's right next to Mexico. They tell you what the sales tax is. They tell you daylight savings time. They tell you the websites for the newspapers in San Diego. They give you more about San Diego. They let you know like the temperatures, like 69 degrees is pretty much the average temperature. They talk about the bike rentals. More things about San Diego. This place called Hodad's. It's a famous restaurant in San Diego, and they've always had this sign which says they have like under 1 billion hamburgers sold. Yeah, less than McDonald's, but pretty good hamburgers. This is kind of a cool page. I really like this. This page talks to you about all of the holidays in the US. This is something like when I go to other places, I'd be like, boy, I wish I just had a page of all the holidays. That's like you almost know what days to avoid. Though what I do find interesting, of course, is that they list Cesar Chavez's birthday, which for those of you who aren't aware is a California holiday, and they also list Kwanzaa. And it's funny, they list Father's Day right here with a rose next to it, which I don't think is the really, I don't know. Does anybody ever buy their father a rose for Father's Day? St. Patrick's Day, I'm partially Irish, so that's a great holiday too, though I'm convinced that's a drinking holiday. And of course, Cinco de Mayo, the 5th of May, right, the sort of Mexican Independence Day, is celebrated quite a bit in San Diego. Mainly an excuse for people here to drink, I'm convinced. Rich Esteban says, hey Chris, let's do Japanese lunch sometime. I bumped into you at Tokyo Central. I know you know the best places. Rich, sounds good. And it was good to see you at Tokyo Central last weekend. Comments. Kirk asked me, how are my car windshield wipers? Kirk, that's a strange question. Why do you want to know about my car windshield wipers? It's raining a lot in San Diego right now, so maybe that's why you ask. Vinny Taylor asks, why do Las Vegas hotels charge a deposit of $50 a night? Because they have mini bars. They think you're going to take it out, so they want a deposit. I think people trash the rooms there too. And Vinny says, In-N-Out Burger needs to come to the East Coast. I agree. William says, what are the best places to travel in Tokyo in 7 days? William, that's a great question. I would say just check out my Tokyo videos. I've got like if you go to my channel and you go to my playlists and you go to Tokyo, I've got a whole playlist on Tokyo. Check out some of those places in that playlist. Let's see. Alonzo says, what's some good sights to see in San Diego? I think we'll get through that probably as we go through this book. The Gabriel says, should I go to Las Vegas or New York City? I meant Los Angeles. I like Los Angeles better than New York City, but I mean, they're both iconic. They're really different. Kirk says, hey Chris, I need ideas of things to do in Vegas with a baby. New video idea. Interesting, Kirk. I will put that right here. Maybe for my next trip to video. For my next trip to Vegas. All right, so here now they've got information about different things to do in different seasons. In spring, one of the things that's really famous in San Diego are the flower fields. In Carlsbad, we have this flower field, and so these ranunculuses bloom there. They're really beautiful. They're really amazing. There's car shows. There's parades. Of course, July. There's the 4th of July. They've got Comic-Con. They've got the San Diego County Fair, which is pretty neat. San Diego hosts a really big marathon every year. We have horse racing at the Del Mar Racetrack. If you are here in the fall, the Marine Corps base always hosts an air show. You can see the Blue Angels fly there. There's a Pacific Islander festival. We have this place called Julian that's famous for the apple pie. We do this parade called the Mother Goose Parade. This little city called La Mesa always has like an Oktoberfest, which they do in October, which is the wrong month, because for those of you who've been to Germany, you will know that they do Oktoberfest in Germany in September and not October. In the winter, it's time for whale watching. It's whale watching season. And whale watching season in San Diego, well, there's all these tours that advertise they'll take you out and you can see the whales. And they advertise, you know, you can ride again for free tomorrow if you didn't see any whales. I don't know who takes them up on that. I think whale watching is much more like ocean staring. It's kind of what you do. We have big golf tournaments. For Christmas, there's this parade of lights where like boats kind of decorate themselves and go out there. And then in Balboa Park, they do this thing called December Nights, a couple nights in Balboa Park where the park is pretty much shut down to cars and like 100,000 people go there to check out those lights. All right, on the next page, we see some things about classic cars, and then here we'll get to the airport. We'll go to comments, and then I'll come back to the airport. So, questions, comments. Leslie says, hello, Chris, love your videos. I just went to La Jolla a couple weeks ago and visited the Cove. Enjoyed my visit. That's awesome, Leslie. La Jolla Cove, one of the most beautiful places in San Diego. Tanner Wilson says, are there any Japanese-style guidebooks for other cities? Tanner, there totally are. If you missed my beginning, I'm going to go over this guidebook for Kyushu, but this is a Japanese guidebook that's been translated to English. Obviously, it's a place in Japan, but they do these sorts of things for Hawaii and a lot of places that Japanese people love to go. All right. Chris Jag says, I went to Tokyo and the surrounding area for 3 weeks and still wasn't enough time. Love, love, love Japan. Yeah, you like Tokyo, there's so much to do. Brandon says he loves seeing the Blue Angels fly. Kirk says, how about the swallows, the birds? Forgot what the event is called. Kirk, the swallows don't really visit San Diego all that much. They visit San Juan Capistrano, which is about 60 miles north of San Diego. There's a mission there that's famous for having a lot of swallows visit it. And actually, the swallow is the mascot of the city, San Juan Capistrano. Drew Lawson says, do you ever go to Little Italy? There's a great Ballast Point brewing location to pound beers. Yeah, Little Italy, it's a great place in San Diego. It has lots of Italian food. I love Little Italy. The funny part about Little Italy in San Diego is that the street that Little Italy is called India Street, which is really weird that like the Italian neighborhood in San Diego is called India Street. But my favorite Italian restaurant is called Mona Lisa on India Street, but I absolutely love it. Okay, I need to take a drink of water because I've been talking for a while. And today, I'm just drinking some very boring water here in my Enjoy Coca-Cola glass. All right. Okay, let's go back to the book. All right, so here we've got Lindbergh Field. Lindbergh Field, it's the major airport in San Diego. So they have this really detailed map of Lindbergh Field. But it gets better. They have more maps of Lindbergh Field. They have like a map of Terminal 2. They have like blow-ups about like lower level, upper level. Oh no, it gets better. They have super detailed maps of Lindbergh Field that show you these are all the stores, these are all the numbers, this is where they are. The airport doesn't put maps together as good as this. This map is better than the map the airport provides. But Japanese will always have maps like this about shopping centers, shopping malls. You'll be able to see before you go in where everything is, so that when you go in, you're like, oh, I totally want to go to Brookstone, and I want to go to Phil's Barbecue, so they'll like map out the way to get to those things. It gets better. This right here, this is amazing. And actually, this is what I looked at in the book, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to talk about this. So this is, if you are flying Japan Airlines out of San Diego, going back to Tokyo, this is what you're going to see. These are pictures of everything you'll experience as you fly Japan Airlines. Hey, you'll cross this bridge, you'll see the sign that says Japan Airlines. You'll go to the Japan Airlines counter. The stewardesses look like that at the counter. Ticket agents, you'll stand in line like this. You'll go through security check. You might wait right here. Hey, you should visit the duty-free store. Check out the brewery. If you want to go to the lounge, it's the airspace lounge. Then you'll walk back through this hallway. You'll see this work of art. You'll see Stone Brewing for more beer. There's a little food court right here. This is what the food court looks like. 45 minutes before your flight, you should really head to the gate. This is what the gate looks like. You'll get in line to board, but you'll be getting on that plane. It's a 787, and the crew's going to stand there to welcome you and bow before you get on. Wow, do you know everything you need to know before you get on that plane? Nothing will surprise you after you've seen that. And then, of course, they've also got the what happens when you arrive in San Diego. Well, you're going to come into San Diego like this. You'll go through customs. You'll go through immigration. And if you take a look at this right here, they're like, you should totally stop by information. And it doesn't focus that close. And find the person who's holding that book to give you. They've got a picture of someone holding this book right there. And then, there you go. You'll be in San Diego. Wow, that is amazing. Kirk says, does it have anything about crossing the border and visiting Mexico? You know what? I guess we're going to find out as we go through it. Karen says, where is it good to eat in San Diego? Karen, that's a great question. And the first pages 10, 11, 12, 13 talked all about that in this book. So if you just rewind to this beginning of the video, if you just joined in when it's done, you'll be able to check that out. Oh, by the way, if you like wanted to see this book in more detail, the previous year's one, I put a link in the video description so you could check that out after this video is done. They've got this page to talk about all the different transportation options, taxis, rental cars, buses, super shuttle, and then right here, this is a map of everything around the airport. And yes, this is another one that puts the airport provided maps to shame, because they show you the airport, they show you the major streets, they show you the freeways, and they show you all these restaurants. And so if you want to visit, let's see, what's on this map that you might want to visit? Let's say you're visiting Phil's Barbecue. It's right there on the map. You want to visit Old Town. You want to visit, some things in Hillcrest, right? They put that all there. So that's pretty cool. All right, going through this, here's another ad for a photography company. We saw one of those before. Some more detailed information about transportation in and around San Diego, not just airport stuff. Talking about Uber, Lyft, riding the trolley, riding our trains, which are really lousy, and then riding the Greyhound buses, which are, of course, the long-distance buses. Alonzo says the book is so detailed. It is super detailed. Here we go. This gets even more detailed. This goes into all the different buses in San Diego. These are all the different bus routes. This is where they all go. These are where all the major centers are. This is a map of San Diego's trolley. You can see the trolley does run down into Tijuana right here. By the way, did you want to know how to buy tickets for the trolley? Well, you can buy one-way, round-trip, monthly. This is what the ticket machines look like. This is what the cards look like. You tap them on. You have to push the button to open the door. You push the button to get out. They tell you how you can take your bike on, and boy, that's how it works. And they call it a proof of payment system to let you know that the trolley in San Diego basically runs on the honor system to ride it. There's more detailed maps of the different lines, and they show you pictures of all the different stops so you can see exactly what all those stops look like when you're at them. Again, San Diego Trolley does not put a map together that looks this good. Oh, hey, there's more detailed pictures of all the stops on the blue line, which is a new line. Well, I guess it kind of goes from downtown to the Mexican border, but it's also going to go up to the University of San Diego. They talk about the orange line. This one runs out to San Diego State University, I think. No, that one goes to El Cajon. Different line. All right, this page, they talk about renting cars, because you pretty much need to rent a car. The San Diego Business Association. More detail about renting cars, because if you get to the airport, you'll want to know, how do you find the rental car company? Well, you find the sign that says car rental that says car transportation. You cross the bridge, you get on the shuttle, you'll find a window, you get in your car, you go out, and then they've got signs to tell you how to find the rental car return. Look at that. And then here's a list of all the rental car companies in San Diego. I didn't even know there were this many rental cars in San Diego. That's a lot. And they talk about this company called Old Town Trolley Tours. This should not be confused with our red trolleys that are like a good transportation thing. The Old Town Trolley Tour, this is like I mean, it's basically a fancy bus that's made up to look like an old trolley, but the different stops this goes on. This is really good for tourists that don't want to drive because it makes all these different stops through San Diego, including Little Italy that we talked about right here, the Gaslamp District, various hotels, and of course Balboa Park and the San Diego Zoo. Here is a detailed map of all the Old Town Trolley stops. And here it talks about a gazillion things to do in San Diego with pictures of all these different things. And the slogan for San Diego is America's Finest City. And of course that cat mascot that we saw, you know, at the beginning on the cover, this thing is coming back to tell us, hey, it's America's finest city. And so you'll notice I take an element on my channel about that. Topher comes in every once in a while to remind you to please subscribe, just like a cute Japanese mascot might do. So they tell you here, you know, you can go out to Indian casinos, you can play golf, you can go windsurfing, you can see a baseball game, you can see some concerts, you can visit that La Jolla Cove, you can go hang gliding, visit SeaWorld, and visit Seaport Village. And then they talk about the different tour companies that you could take if you wanted to go on tour. On Facebook, Arye Brahmi asks if I moved to San Diego. I did not move to San Diego. I'm born and raised in San Diego, as a matter of fact. My original hometown. All right, what do we got here? What's this page? This page is about like activities. So you can like rent segways. You can take this like ride the duck seal thing. You can go on jet skis. You can take Balboa Park heritage tours. You can rent these little yellow cars. You can go mountain biking. You can go kayaking. San Diego can be a pretty active and adventure-based city. Okay, but San Diego is more than the city of San Diego. There's a big county. So it's kind of confusing. There's San Diego City and there's San Diego County. So when someone says San Diego, what do they really mean? But they sort of explain right here that there's the United States, there's the nation, the state, the county, and the city. So that's how things are defined. They give you a little map here to show you the little different cities and talk about these different cities in San Diego. So here's a little pictographic map that shows you, oh boy, here's San Diego, there's the downtown, here's the Mexican border, here's what you can do in Tijuana. They talk more about the Gaslamp Quarter. This is all about downtown San Diego. And downtown San Diego really was kind of lousy, like 20 years ago. It was really bad. There's been a lot of investment in downtown San Diego, so it's really quite nice now. A lot of the hotels are in downtown. There's a lot of like high-end eateries, like this Brazilian barbecue buffet, Spanish food. There are a lot of nightclubs and bars in downtown. They go over Little Italy that someone brought up earlier. This is San Diego's Italian neighborhood. Definitely one of my favorite places to go get Italian food. It really is quite good in Little Italy. A lot of little independent shops. I mentioned brewing. If you like beer, San Diego has a lot of craft breweries. Did I mention detailed maps? These are detailed maps of downtown San Diego with like every hotel and restaurant listed out on this thing. This is a map of Hillcrest that has all the restaurants in Hillcrest mapped out. I mean, it's really small and detailed, but if you're looking for something, you could find it. Tanner says the hang gliding looks amazing. I'm not sure if I read that comment before, but if I didn't, it sure does. I don't know that I'd do it because I'm a pretty risk-averse person. Brandon Torres says, let's get Yellow Productions to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. I think I'm at just about 96,000. Like, there's been like 7,000 new subscribers this month, which has been fantastic. If you're one of those new subscribers, thank you for subscribing. And yes, definitely tell your 4,000 friends to subscribe because I'm excited to get that 100,000 subscriber YouTube play button. Hillcrest, more information about that. It's called Hillcrest because it's on the hill right above downtown. A lot of San Diego neighborhoods have these like neon signs that identify where they are. So Hillcrest has a famous neon sign. And these are some of their must-sees. They're like, you must see this. This is must-see number 3. Must-see number 4 is Old Town San Diego. San Diego originally was part of Mexico before it became part of the United States. And as part of Mexico, Old Town is where San Diego got started. It's where one of the early missions are, some of the early Mexican houses. The first houses in San Diego, they were made out of adobe, which is like this mud rock. They're down there. Some great Mexican food is in San Diego. And they mentioned you can take like walking tours, you can do like candle making, and that's also the major place to pick up the San Diego Old Town trolley tour. Kirk says, hey Chris, where would you recommend the Japanese person stay in San Diego if they didn't know how to speak English, and would the Japanese be disappointed in our 7-Eleven? Kirk, Japanese would be hugely disappointed by our 7-Eleven. They sure would be. I mean, I'd recommend they stay downtown San Diego, frankly, and sign up for some of the Japanese tours that go around. Sign up for the Old Town tours. I think they could get around pretty good. I mean, they'd probably need to know a little English, and I think, frankly, most Japanese people can speak enough English to get by when they come here. Brandon asks, 100K live stream by chance? I will definitely have a 100,000 subscriber celebration, and I'll definitely open that play button on a live stream when it comes. Tanner Wilson says, he's been zip lining and bungee jumping before. It would be a piece of cake to do that hang gliding. I bet it would for you. And Sun Lee says, that is nice. I assume that's the Mexican food that we're talking about. Here's a more detailed map about historic Old Town San Diego. You can take the trolley there, which is pretty convenient. Must-see number 5 is to visit Coronado. We talked about this at the beginning. Hotel del Coronado, the biggest wooden hotel on the West Coast and the oldest. It's a super classic place to be like this and sit on the beach and take a family picture. They've got this famous restaurant called the Crown Room where they do Sunday brunch. You can take tours of the Hotel Del. Obviously, there's a beach there, lots of restaurants. Give you maps of Coronado. They give you maps of La Jolla, which, of course, then must-see number 6 is La Jolla. La Jolla, by the way, you can always tell tourists because they don't pronounce this as La Jolla. They pronounce this as La Jolla. But because San Diego was originally part of Mexico, a lot of the names of places are Spanish names. La Jolla means the gem because this really beautiful area in San Diego, really popular to go kayaking, to see these caves, go shopping, go dining. Must-see number 7 is to visit Mission Beach. Mission Beach is famous for this roller coaster. It's one of the oldest operational wooden roller coasters on the West Coast. Right there. It is pretty exciting to ride. It's really bumpy. OC Girl says the Japanese wouldn't like 7-Eleven, but they might be impressed by Target and Whole Foods, though. They probably would be. Whole Foods, amazing supermarket, and Target, like, there are no stores that are that big in Japan. I mean, there's a few, but not that many. And Target, maybe compared to Walmart, like, Target actually, like, keeps their stores, like, nice and bright. I think the Japanese would like that better than Walmart. Kirk asks, have I ever ridden a Lime scooter? So we have these electric scooters in San Diego. Lime, there's a couple other ones. There's like 3 different companies that have these electric scooters. I'll say I have not. I see them all around. I hate them because they always clutter up the sidewalk. People throw them in driveways. They throw them in parking lots. I would like them to actually like have docks that you dock them in, but they've really created a mess of the city, in my opinion. Okay, we talked about Balboa Park earlier. It's one of the largest urban parks in the United States. It was built for like a World's Fair, like this Panama Exposition or something. So it has this really classic architecture. And they've got like detailed things about all the different things you could see and do in Balboa Park. By the way, this book is it's 368 pages, and we're on page 100. I mean, that tells you how detailed this is. I need to pause for a second. I need to save my place in here so that I can drink again. All right, so going back to the book, now that I can speak again. You know, it's really strange. My Facebook live streaming tells me I've been live streaming for 94 hours and 55 minutes. I don't think I have. I think something is wrong with that. All right, well let's go back to this. Maps of Balboa Park, Point Loma, famous place to visit. I talked about this earlier. There's Old Point Loma Lighthouse. There's great views of San Diego from there. There's Liberty Station. Liberty Station, it's the former San Diego Naval Training Center that's been converted into basically like a shopping mall and an office park. Del Mar, like of the sea. It's this like seaside town, but that's where the racetrack is, and that's where San Diego has their big fair every year. Oh, this is so cool. Look at this. This is Panda. It's a Panda hot air balloon. All right, that's pretty cool. All right, San Diego Bay. They talk about the USS Midway. So San Diego's a huge Navy town, and there's this old aircraft carrier, the USS Midway, that's actually open as a museum that you can go on. And so they've got like all these maps, things like that. This is San Diego's #1 visited attraction, is the Midway Museum. Kirk asks if I've ever been to the Panama Canal. I've never been through the Panama Canal, Kirk. That would be interesting to go to. Kaz says, I never knew San Diego was part of Mexico. How did it become part of the USA? The Louisiana Purchase? I mean, we purchased it. The U.S. purchased like a lot of the western U.S. from Mexico, so they sold it to us. But yeah, California was all part of Mexico. And so actually, right, if you do the geography sort of thing, we have California in the United States, and then in Mexico, where Tijuana is, that's the Mexican state of Baja California, which basically means Lower California. And so the current U.S. state of California was Alta California, which basically means Upper California. So in Mexico, they had Upper California and Lower California. Seaport Village. They talk all about visiting this little seaside shopping center. It's cute, quaint. There's restaurants that are over the water. It's a totally manufactured place for tourists, but it's neat. San Diego has the world-famous San Diego Zoo with pandas. By the way, that's where Topher's from. Topher is from the San Diego Zoo. They've got koalas. If you come to San Diego and you like animals, you should definitely visit the San Diego Zoo. They've got the San Diego Zoo map. San Diego Zoo has 2 locations. They have the zoo, which is in Balboa Park, and then they have the Safari Park, which is a much bigger one that has like an open area. You take like trams. The animals aren't in cages, so that's an interesting place to visit as well. Evolution asked if Kaz skipped history class, and Kaz says they focus mainly on Scottish history being in Scotland. That would totally make sense. And Evolution of Me says all of the lower Midwest of the U.S. was Mexico, which is absolutely true. Map of the San Diego Safari Park. They tell you about visiting SeaWorld, where you can go see Shamu and killer whales. There's a map of SeaWorld. Legoland, it's an amusement park with Legos, really great for kids. Tell you all about those things. They give you a map of Legoland. San Diego has some water parks, but interesting, they give you a map here and they tell you, well, okay, so San Diego's got a water park here called Aquatica SeaWorld. There's a couple that are in North San Diego. Knott's Berry Farm has one in LA. Then there's this place called Raging Waters, Six Flags Hurricane Harbor, and talk about all these different water parks. Japanese really like theme parks, so you can imagine they love to go to these places. Well, there's a sports calendar. If you want to go see sports, you want to know what you can go see. Football, the Chargers left. You can't see them anymore. They suck. They moved to Los Angeles, if you're following that. Baseball, basketball, we don't have a basketball team. We do have a hockey team. We don't have a soccer team. Petco Park, it's where the Padres play, which is our baseball team. They give you like a map, so if you wanted to buy tickets, you could see where you'd buy tickets. Tana Emerson says, haha, maybe I sold you Topher. Tana, do you work at the San Diego Zoo, like in the gift shop or something? And did you work there, you know, like in maybe 2004? That's probably when we bought Topher. I'm curious, do you still sell that same panda right there? They talk more about hang gliding, paragliding, skydiving. San Diego's really big for these types of activities because we have this, I don't know if they show it here. They probably don't. This beach called Black's Beach. Black's Beach has these really tall cliffs, and the wind comes in, hits these cliffs, has this really big updraft, and so it's really great for hang gliding and paragliding because there's always this constant updraft around there. And Tana says, yes, she did work there then. Well, you might have sold me Topher. That'd be really cool. And Almost Good Film says San Diego has a hockey team, the San Diego Gulls. They sure do. I've been to see them once. Tanner Wilson says, I'm surprised that San Diego doesn't have pro soccer. Being close to Mexico, it would be pretty popular. Yeah, there was actually like a whole big ballot measure about it recently. Shall we build a soccer stadium? Or shall we give the land with the stadium to San Diego State? San Diego State won out over the soccer stadium, but that's a whole bunch of politics that I probably won't get into. I mentioned air shows. We have these air shows every year. Hot air ballooning is popular here. Obviously, beaches are popular, so they give you all these maps of beaches. They tell you the names of them. They tell you, like, if you want to go surfing, what the best beaches to go surfing are. La Jolla Shores, Tourmaline, South Mission Beach, Imperial Beach. I wouldn't go to Imperial Beach because it's often polluted. From the pollution comes up from Mexico. They tell you how to, like, stand up on a surfboard. They talk about, like, surf shops you could go to. They tell you what beaches are best for swimming. They tell you the beaches that are best for families. They tell you the beaches that are best to go to if what you want to do tide pooling. They tell you how you can get sand castle lessons. Have you ever wanted to have lessons to build sand castles? Interesting. They tell you what beaches are best for diving. They tell you the best for dogs. What beaches are best if you want to eat. What beaches are best if you want to go to beach bars. And we talk about animals. This is all about animals. These are all the wild animals that are in San Diego. Of course, there's hummingbirds and rabbits and squirrels and deer and foxes and porcupines and mountain lions and snakes and raccoons and dolphins and seals and seagulls and pelicans and sharks. And, of course, those whales that we talked about in whale watching. So there you go. Those are the wild animals of San Diego, in case you were ever wondering. Now you know. Yeah, what if you want to ride and dine? I don't know, this is a weird section because it has like harbor cruises that you can dine on, but I don't think you'd want to dine on the roller coaster. I mean, I wouldn't at least. They talk to you about some of the best restaurants in San Diego. The fanciest restaurant is this one called the Marine Room. It is literally like on the sand in La Jolla. Where the best views are. This place called Mr. A's. It's on the top of this amazing building. Best vegetarian restaurant. That would not be for me. That would be for Topher, though. He likes his vegetables. Best bakery. Best gourmet casual. Best French fries. Farm to table. That's like a total thing now. Farm to table. I'm really not a big fan of that trend. There's a lot of Indian food in San Diego, where you can get the best pizza, best sandwiches, best design. Hey, there's an advertisement for that Kansas City barbecue that I mentioned came out of Top Gun. Tanner Wilson says, yeah, whose idea was it to dine on a roller coaster? That's a great question. Tana says, I can't see Topher clearly. Okay, Tana, I'll show you. Here, let me put my bookmark in here. Me solo. This right here. This is Topher. This is Topher, Tana, right here. This is Topher. Do you still sell pandas that look like Topher? I'm curious. All right, there's the spin. He's quite the model. All right, so AJ says he would not mind dining on a roller coaster. AJ, you must have a really strong stomach. Because my stomach is not that strong to dine on a roller coaster. Yeah, I would feel sorry for the people behind you, too. Guides on brunch. Hey, if you want to get sushi. Oh, you can't see what I'm flipping this to. All right. If you want to get sushi, where you might get sushi from. Look at more sushi. Uni, right there. Sea urchin. How many of you like uni? Uni is definitely an acquired taste. I will say I like uni. More sushi places. An interesting thing, like if you go to Waikiki, Waikiki has a lot of Japanese restaurants, and most of the Japanese tourists, you'll find them dining on Japanese food when they're in Waikiki. I mean, the Japanese food is pretty good, but I think, hey, branch out to the Hawaiian food or the American food, right? So, ramen. San Diego does have actually a fairly decent collection of Japanese restaurants. Though Orange County in LA certainly far surpasses it, but you can definitely get your fix of ramen. They give you like a buffet guide. Japan, they don't have a lot of buffets, so they like probably all you can eat when you come here. All you can eat sushi, which I don't know. I would never do all you can eat sushi. And now we sort of end up in this back section, which is like, you know, just like different guides where you can go for happy hour, best cinemas, nail salons, all this kind of stuff, where you can go shopping, where the best farmers markets are, and you know, if you want to go fishing, what the different like fish might look like when you go out there fishing. Did this thing lose its focus somehow? Focus. Fishing map, where the winter resorts are, what the best hotels in San Diego are, where you can get professional services. All right, and yeah. So it's an amazing book, and let's see. Here we go. Me solo off that camera. No, me solo, not me small anymore. All right, and so I mentioned I would show you a little bit of this book too. This is the Kyushu book. This is a English translated version of the kind of a similar thing. But as you can see in this guidebook, I mean, you open it up, it's got 69 itineraries. I mean, look how information dense this thing is. And you can see like, oh, if you're going to Fukuoka, here's maps on Fukuoka, here's information about the tickets, here's popular souvenirs, here's things in Hakata City, here's what you should eat, here's maps of that shopping mall. I mean, compare how information dense this one page is to like, you know, my Lonely Planet guidebook, which is like, it's all words. Like, oh, there's one picture, and there's more words, and there's more words, and there's one picture, and there's more words. I mean, what would give you a better sense of where you're going to go? Those words, or something like this, to be like, oh, I'd like to eat that coffee, and oh, that cheesecake, and oh, now I know what that building looks like, and you know, let me get that ramen. Oh, let me get this. Which ramen should I get? You know, I get this. I'll get that. Look at all these. I mean, isn't this so much better than a typical guidebook? I think they're so much better than a typical guidebook. So, if you've gotten one takeaway from this video, it is definitely, if you are someplace that you see Japanese guidebooks, pick them up. If you're in San Diego, pick this one up. If you're going to Japan, take a look for some of these guidebooks. These are actually printed by JTB Publishing. This is the Japan Tourism Bureau. This particular San Diego guidebook, it's printed by the San Diego UU International Times Corporation. But if you wanted to see the whole thing, I've got a link to the PDF in the description below. You could take a look at it. Or if you come to San Diego, you can find it in the San Diego airport, or you could find it in the rental car center or at the Asian markets. Tana says she loves my channel, by the way. Thank you, Tana. I appreciate it. So Tana says, I don't think we still have Topher. I'm going to check for you tomorrow, Tana. Definitely. And Lucy Girl says we could always use a stunt double. And the final thing here, and I always do a giveaway on these live streams. I'll be giving away some socks today, some fancy Yellow Production socks. And to win the fancy Yellow Production socks, you have to tell me what the name of this panda is. I'm Chris, this is Topher. What's this panda's name? This new panda who joined us. What's his name? The first person to tell me his name wins a pair of Yellow Production socks. So, what is his name? And while we are looking for that, Tanner Wilson agrees that these travel guides are so much better. Be curious to see what they're like for other parts of the world. Yeah, they'd be pretty much like this one. Like lots of pictures, lots of maps, these sorts of things. So just overall impressive things. And Rika Iwasaka guessed correctly and said his name is Columbus. Very good. So, Riki, perhaps. Riki, you win a pair of socks. So, to claim your socks, you can either send me a message on Facebook to my Yellow Productions page. You can find a link in the description below to that page. Or if you prefer to send me an email, you can send it to chris@yellow.net with 2 W's, YELLOWW.net, chris@yellow.net. Let me know your address and I will send you these socks. Vinny said Columbus as well, but Vinny, sorry, too slow. You will have a chance to win next time. So, I'd like to tell you all when my next live stream will be. My next Monday night live stream. It's going to be... What is this? It's going to be in 3 weeks. My next Monday night live stream will be February 4th, 2019. Usual time, 8 p.m. Los Angeles time. Well, special guest Travelman Ben from Australia will be continuing our reasons to go to Australia. If you remembered watching that live stream back in December, we gave you 10 reasons to go to Australia. We had 20. We didn't make it through an hour, so Ben's going to come back on. I hope to have plenty of dialogue with Ben. Ask him questions about, like kangaroos and silly Australian accents, Crocodile Dundee, and all that stuff. I hope to see you there. Sometime between now and then, I'm going to do another Friday live stream that I do maybe like a little earlier. Occasionally, I'm going to do some live streams, not on Mondays, as like open Q&A sessions that are just on any topic. I'm going to call these live streams that I do on like Fridays, Yellow Productions office hours. So it'll be just kind of like, I'll be like a professor, and you'll come to the professor's office and you can ask questions like office hours, right? Professors have office hours, and so I'll make an office hour, and there will just be open Q&A for that. I'll start that one with the questions I didn't get through last time when I did the last Q&A, but that seemed to be a pretty popular session, and I know that when people ask questions on these things about, hey, I'm going to Japan, what should I see? Sometimes I shorten the answers up because I want to get to the content that we're talking about, and so I want to make sure that people have time to answer those questions as well. Well, I am curious what you guys liked of this format, what you guys thought of this new, down camera that I had right here that now like pandas and socks are in front of like that, and what you think of me when I'm like really small down here. Ooh, I don't need me small twice. All right. Well, thank you very much. I won't say goodbye because I will see you in the next video. I'll see you in the next live stream. I'll see you in the regular videos Friday mornings. And in case you're curious about like what time those come out, usually Friday mornings, 8 a.m. is when I schedule those for. Friday mornings, 8 a.m. Los Angeles time. You'll always find a new travel video, sometimes more during the week. And yeah, keep on traveling. That's it.